Good afternoon, everybody. This is Jeff with Mind Body Cheer, back again to help you coaches prepare your athletes to be fiercely competitive and more mentally tough. We can't deny it, coaches. We are in the heart and heat of the competition season. There are summit bids, world bids, and national championship titles that we've been working months for on the line. One common question that I'm getting from a lot of coaches is, how do I prepare my teams to be able to perform in competition the same as I see in practice? I had one coach email me, Jeff, my team is flawless in practice. They have high energy, they look excited, they're deduction free, and then they get on the performance floor and I just don't know what happens. They fall apart. Well, if you experience a team like this video is for you. I'm going to give you some tips and tools on how to address specifically teams that choke when on the competition floor. Before I get into that, I want to explain to you what's going into the minds of these athletes and why they can't transfer that performance and practice to the competition floor. It's actually a pretty simple math equation. We take the amount of expectations an athlete feels, subtracted by the amount of confidence they have, and the difference between that is going to tell us the amount of pressure that they have. Let's put this into some concrete terms. Before I do, let me define expectations. Expectations are both internal and external. An example of an external expectation would be the expectation that the athlete perceives they have from you and how they perform, or their parents. Even the outside cheer community would be an external expectation. Internal expectation is broken up into two parts. There's the performance-based expectation that's internal, which is maybe being deduction-free, hitting their stunt, or throwing that elite tumbling pass. Well, the outcome-based internal expectation would be, how do they want to look at the finish or the end of the routine? Is it a certain score they're going for? Is it a bid to the summit or a bid to Worlds? I'm sure there are a lot of other external and internal expectations you can think of. But when we add all of those together, that is collaboratively the amount of expectation an athlete feels. So one strategy that I've used with a team just recently that was struggling with this sort of performing in practice but not on the competition floor was actually surveying the team. What's the level of external expectation you have? After explaining and defining it, collectively it was about a 5. Talking about internal expectations for the ones that are worried about performance. Really, 0 to 10, they were only at about a 6. Finally, when I explained to them about internal outcome expectations, I got a lot of insightful information. I got athletes talking about Summit and how it was so important to them, and how this team has been together for 2 years and the pressure that they feel individually to really get this Summit big, because this is the last time they're going to get an opportunity. Well, that they ranked all the way up at a 10. That's right. They couldn't think of anything that would be more stressful for them than what is on the line. Well, when we add up 10, add up 6 and 5, 11, divide by 3, they have an expectation at a 7. I asked them about their confidence level. Hey, guys, girls, what's your level of confidence? We talked a little bit about what confidence was, and I got a lot of athletes talking about how they haven't hit the routine in the last 2 competitions. How that competition just 3 weeks ago, they won, but they still didn't get a bid to the summit. They felt like it was hopeless, that even winning, they're not going to get a bid. Well, I kept that information for the back of my head, and I asked them 0 to 10, what was their level? Well, they were able to be insightful and self-aware enough to give me a level of about a 3. When you take 7 minus 3, what we have left, that deficit, is a 4. The space between expectation and confidence is the amount of pressure a team has. That was very clear to me that that team was not prepared to hit on that competition floor. So we talked a little bit about how to lower their external, internal expectations. Being that their own personal expectation was probably the highest, I felt like I could get more bang for my buck addressing that. If you watch my video that I posted just last week on NCAA Nationals, I talk a lot about the strategies that I use with this team. Talks about being in the present moment. I talked about only worrying about the things that you can control. I educated and talked with the coach a little bit more on how they can prepare their team to focus and have a team culture where they're worried more about the effort they give, the hard work, having a free-to-fail attitude. After a couple of weeks of that, reassessing the team, their expectation level was down to a 5. Concurrently, as they were lowering their expectation level, we were also increasing their confidence. Well, you're probably wondering, well, how did you do that, Jeff? Well, exactly. How did I do that? Well, one way to do that is by just lowering expectations increases confidence. Also, allowing the athletes to feel ownership over the routine by feeling that they're capable of doing things in a difficult situation. One of the stressors we put them under was having them perform the routine exhausted. That's right, we had them jump rope for 2 minutes, and then we said full out. When that team was finally able to accomplish that, they felt like they were world champions. You could see their faces light up. They stood with more confidence. They even said that they felt like their confidence level was a 6. So we moved to the next stage, which was increasing the amount of pressure they felt in practice. When we start having our teams perform with more pressure in practice, something's on the line. One strategy that I used with this particular team was saying, however many deductions you have, touchdowns or falls and stunts, that's how many full-outs you do later in practice. Well, you can imagine the amount of pressure and fear that they felt inside for that single performance. Well, when that team was able to use some of the mental toughness strategies I talked about, being in the present moment, not worried about outcome, worried about the amount of effort they give and not give up, we finally got to see a team that was confident, calm, cool, collective, and they were able to perform and be that team that we wanted to see. Eventually, we saw that their expectation level was low at a 5 and their confidence was much higher at a 7. They were able to deal with the confidence issues that they currently or previously had in competition, and they were able to go out there on the performance floor, the last competition before a summit bid, and they were able to finally win it. And it was not based on anything other than the work and effort that they put in before, the coaches and the athletes. This is sort of what I do when I work with teams. If this is something that would work for you, or you have questions a little bit deeper on how we did this, feel free to email me at mindbodycheer@gmail.com. Until next time, everyone, be well.